All right, we're live. Welcome to the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. I'm your host, Chris Kirkwood, Kirk Dees, here with my boys, John Surabian, JSU Rab. Saved the best for last because I can never remember the username, but it's Killa B, Brett Hartfield, Killa B 2482.
It doesn't matter.
82?
Yeah,
I got it right. So let's not even, I got it right. So we're good.
Call him Killa B.
Killa B. So what's happening? We nice little slate this week. Man, I got luck. I basically broke even, and I felt like that was a huge win last week. How'd you guys do?
I had a smallish profit, but I didn't really invest as much as I wanted to last week. Kind of stopped playing the Thursday through Mondays now that NBA is going, and really just focus on NBA throughout the week, and then shoot in my normal exposure in NFL on Sundays. But it was profitable, but it was like a small profit, like 20% ROI. So.
Yeah, I had Stoney Michel just like all over everything, and he was 2% owned, and he died in the first quarter.
Kerryon Johnson was
died with my lineups.
I do gotta say, pat myself on the back. Kerryon Johnson was my favorite play, like when we ended our show last week, and he kind of rode me like quite a bit of money. But a lot of the sharps were on him, so he wasn't as low owned as I thought he would be. Definitely, people got onto him by the end of the week.
Did you guys have any Jermaine Kearse?
Cash, yeah, for sure, in cash.
All you chalk donkeys out there, you deserve it.
But nobody came through as a cheap.
I had none of them, but I
had 20% of them, I think, if I remember correctly.
I mean, there were so many injuries and cheap wide receivers that just did nothing. Like, I felt like
I played Josh Gordon in cash. And that was about the only good thing I did because I had Beathard.
I had 2 zeros or basically zeros over on FanDuel.
Wait, did you play Gabriel?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I
had zero exposure to Gabriel.
Yeah, and so, but I still had like over 100% ROI on FanDuel with like 2 zeros in my lineup. So, in my cash anyway.
100, nice. All right. Well, we've got a new week here. I'm going to go ham this weekend. I already feel it. I just feel like it's coming. But we've got a good slate. We've got some monster totals.
Yeah, it's a way better slate.
We've got 1, 2, 3 right off the bat. We've got Green Bay at the Rams. That game looks pretty nice. We know what the Rams do, and Green Bay should be in a negative game script, and they like to do nothing but pass anyway. So that should end up being a pretty good game. Then we got the Bucks at the Bengals, which looks pretty good. We also have the Broncos Chiefs, and then I'm kind of eyeing this Steelers game Browns, but those are kind of the 4 games I'm focused in on right now. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one that sticks out the most, just high and tight, would be the Tampa Bay at Cincinnati. Makes sense with how bad these two defenses are versus the pass. And then also, like, Tampa Bay's been an offense that wants to throw anyway. So I think that's going to be more of a chalk stack.
An offense that has to throw.
Correct. Yeah. And then also, I don't exactly know what the injury situation is. I think actually, what's his name Peyton Barber practiced today. So that looks to be clearing up. But my sneaky stack would be the Colts at Oakland. Couple reasons here. Obviously, you have Amari Cooper's trade that kind of opens up different targets to the Raiders. And then you have the Colts, who are actually the fastest paced team in the NFL. And then they're without Marlon Mack currently. We're recording this Thursday night, and he did not practice today. So this is a team that wants to pass a ton. And yeah, they're the fastest team. So it's like this game, I think, just shoots out in so many ways. Lots of value, especially with the Cooper trade. I really want to target this game quite a bit.
So, Chris, remember a couple of weeks ago when you asked us when Andrew Luck,
this is it,
when you could play your boy Andrew Luck?
This is
the week. Exactly.
I know. I feel the exact same way. So, like,
Yep.
because this is a great matchup for T.Y. Hilton. So, if Marlon Mack is hobbled, and that, which should alleviate some of that running game that they got. Their offensive line is getting extremely healthy and looks really good. And Luck has looked really good throwing the ball. So he just needs that right matchup. And this is a Oakland team that we can just take advantage of, who should play a little bit better since they are at home. So this game, I think you guys are right. I think this is finally the Andrew Luck spot.
Yeah, I definitely like it a lot. And, again, we kind of got to wait on the Marlon Mack news, because I would still have a lot of love for Mack. He looked so good last week. But if he doesn't go, I think Nyheim Hines really steps into a decent-sized role at only 3,800. He could become very chalky by the end of the week if Mack doesn't play. So, but highlighting Oakland here is going to be the interesting part, right? I mean, Amari Cooper sucked, right? But he still led the team in so many different passing categories, with targets, with air yards, and all that. So that's got to be spread around this offense. And you have, old Jordy Nelson, old Jared Cook, and then a guy like Martavis Bryant, who can we trust? It looks like Martavis Bryant is going to step into the snaps here. So that's good. We know what his ceiling was when he played for Pittsburgh. I like him quite a bit in this situation. I think Jordy Nelson's going to be a really good target, for like red zone targets and whatnot. And then Jared Cook just seems like a high floor play too. So lots of different ways that you can go. And then I love bringing it back with all different Indy guys. Actually, Eric Ebron, maybe my favorite tight end play on the week. Oakland is 32 DVOA versus tight ends. So I think lots of different routes you can go. And it's all cheap, where you can then grab like different expensive studs on the slate.
Yeah, one thing to note too is Jack Doyle practiced again today. He's limited. So I think that's going to bring Ebron ownership way down if he plays. It might even take people off of Ebron and onto Doyle, which kind of makes Ebron a really good tournament play. So that would be very, very sneaky and low owned, I think, by the end of the week if Doyle does play.
And Oakland's allowing 10 yards per target to tight ends this season, and they haven't faced anybody good. Terrible tight ends. So we could see. I like that call. I think this could be an Ebron game, especially with even with Doyle back here. And so I like him. Now the guy on Oakland, I agree. Martavis, I think, is worth a shot. He certainly has a speed advantage against the Colts cornerbacks. But I feel like Derek Carr is just going to I think the guy who's going to benefit the most, and hear me out, Seth Roberts. He's awful, but they love using him in the red zone. He's their slot guy, and he's the only guy who's been with Carr for more than one season. And Carr is such a, I don't know. Never mind. There's a word I want to say, but I'm going to hold out on it. Anyway, Carr is kind of a weak quarterback. And so I just feel like he's going to take that safety blanket in Seth Roberts here. Jordy makes sense. I think Cook makes the most sense. And I always like playing Cook at home too for some reason. But so I guess my favorite would be Cook, but I feel like Seth Roberts is a sneaky play here.
Okay, I got a question for you. Seth Roberts, it seems like he's got a lot of his snaps in the slot, but we don't expect Jordy to move outside of the slot, right? I guess on the year, Jordy has run quite a few routes outside of the slot. So if that's the case, if Seth is going to be playing a lot of the slot, I kind of like that. We know how inefficient Carr is, so I feel better about him being able to dump off to closer to the, instead of going out wide. I'd rather have him passing inside. So that's interesting. I didn't even look at Seth Roberts at all. So
yeah, I looked at him and then I just looked elsewhere.
Seth Roberts, if you want to look away.
Right, exactly. I mean, here's the thing: is their guys are all pretty cheap. So if you want to take, a guess on a Seth Roberts, it's not a bad play. Martavis, like Chris said, I don't think Martavis is a terrible play. You can take a shot at him. He has upside. He's 3,700. Seth Roberts is 3,400. They both have had upside, games and, decent showings before. Obviously, Jordy Nelson and Jared Cook are the two better plays, and they're both really cheap. So I have no problem with either of them. Personally, I'm not going with Seth Roberts. I'm going to go with, guys I'm a little more comfortable with than Nelson and Cook, but I'm going to take a shot with Bryant. I just can't take a shot with both.
Full disclosure, I will probably have no Seth Roberts.
Okay, so maybe my favorite guy out of all of Oakland would be Jalen Richard in this situation. He's only 4,200. We don't have to worry about beast mode coming this week. So I think Jalen Richard is, and this should be a negative game script for Richard. He's seen, 15 targets and 13 catches the last 2 weeks. And then you can probably throw in a good, handful of carries in there. I think this is a great spot for Richard. Should be fully, they lost Amari Cooper, so they're gonna have to find a way to get creative with their offense that they have. And then you put in that they lost Marshawn Lynch also. There's just a lot of offense to be giving out to these secondary guys. And I think that's why I like this spot so much, even for Oakland. You have a Colts team that loves the pass. They're the fastest, team for plays per second. So, yeah, I think that's why I'm all about Oakland here.
Yeah, I think the safe play is going to be Jalen Richard and Jared Cook. I think those are
I think that's really – I think you just draw the line there pretty much. But, if you want some deep flyers, you do it with guys like Martavis, maybe a Seth Roberts. But
Jordy's going to be in there.
Jordy, of course, too.
Right. But I think the two safest guys are Cook and Richard if you're just going for safety with your guys.
And it's Luck, T.Y., and Ebron, and that's
right.
And that's a wrap.
Well, I think if Doyle plays, Ebron's definitely more of a GPP guy, but definitely got to like him.
All right, should we hit up a different game here? You guys want to take over a different game?
Yeah, let's talk about this monster Green Bay Rams game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think this is going to be
I'm going to have a lot of Jameis, but let's –
I think this is the second most popular game on the slate to the Jameis Cincinnati game.
But I think this is the first most popular game.
Okay. Well,
I do feel like this –
I think the Tampa Bay it's just a little cheaper.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys, but
tighter spread too.
You might be right. Yeah. But I think everyone's on Jameis too.
So big news that Rodgers got his brace taken off, so potentially he will be able to be fully unleashed this week. And at a price tag of only $6,400 on DraftKings, I definitely want to be way over-owned on a guy like Aaron Rodgers here. And, this is obviously a negative game script, but coming off a bye, I think this is a decent spot for Rodgers to go for 400. They have the different all the wide receivers coming back, so it's going to be tough to really nail which wide receiver you want. But I feel very confident Davante Adams just getting a bunch of targets here. I'm talking like 14, 15 targets pretty easily. He's the one very consistent guy in this offense. And then looking back on the Rams, I think I still want to target the slot corner for the Packers here and really get a lot of Robert Woods.
Did you say do you like this matchup for Rodgers or you don't like this matchup?
I do. I mean,
I thought you said you thought it wasn't a great matchup.
Oh no, I
thought you said a negative game script for him.
Oh, I should say, yeah, I shouldn't have said that.
I think it's more of a positive game script. I mean, they have Rams have an implied team total of 33. This is going to be a high scoring game. I think.
Well, they shut down Beat Hard.
That is what I meant. I didn't try to say game script in a bad.
I got confused.
All right. Yeah, they're obviously 10-point dogs. That's probably kind of what I meant, but. yeah, love the spot for Rodgers. Obviously, anytime that he has to be forced to put up offense, you got to feel pretty good in like one of the most efficient passes. Just as long as their offense line holds up versus the Rams D line. So that's my only concern.
Well,
Right.
this is a great spot for Rodgers. We know that, you know, how the Rams play. They set up for a lot of passing attempts for the opposition, right? And they've also allowed 2 passing TDs in every single game so far. Rodgers is just going to be slinging it. Their receivers are all getting healthy, so he's going to have his full allotment of weapons finally. You know, he's going to get Geronimo should be back, right? Cobb.
Both were limited in practice today.
But they're looking like they're going to go, right?
Yep.
And so, I mean, yeah, and Devontae Adams should have a monster game here too. So, like, yeah, I mean, this just sets up really well, and everyone's going to be on Todd Gurley, so this is going to be extremely chalky as like kind of a run it back with who you can fit.
Right, and I think with that being the case, you got to assume that Devontae Adams is going to be lower owned because of that reason. When you're bringing it back, you know, if you're taking Todd Gurley at almost 10K, you know, Randall Cobb, Allison, Jimmy Graham, they're so much cheaper. It's so much easier to fit in a lineup with more guys you like if you take someone like that. So I think just, you know, from theory standpoint, it makes sense when you're creating lineups, you know, not to take almost an 8K wide receiver and Adams, bringing it back with Gurley, because then it's tougher to make that lineup unless there's some value that opens up, like we had Nick Chubb last week kind of open up towards the end of the week. If that happens, then it might change. But for right now, I think, you know, the chalkier stacks is going to be Gurley, bringing it back with, you know, Cobb and Allison or Jimmy Graham, someone like that. So I think Devontae Adams kind of goes a little overlooked.
There's got to be a week real soon where the Rams put up like 35, 40 points and Gurley doesn't get a touchdown. Like, I feel like there's a week that's going to happen like that.
It ain't happening.
It ain't happening. They're just so, like, I love how they run their offense when they're within the 5. They're just giving him the ball, and it's super efficient. They have like one of the biggest line advantages this week. So a cool tool that you can get on Roto Grinders is just the adjusted line yards. That's actually through, I want to say, I forget what site that's through, but yeah, the Rams would be number 1 this week versus the Packers D line. So I mean, it's a smash spot for Gurley, and for whatever reason, DraftKings still hasn't brought his price out over 10K again. So he's going to be highly owned. So
price included, if you had to take all their prices and these four or five guys I'm going to give you right now, how would you rank them? Starting with you, Brett. So Todd Gurley, Saquon Barkley, James Conner, Joe Mixon, and Kareem Hunt. Would you still take Todd Gurley number 1?
Yeah, like a price per dollar. Like cash game wise, I think Gurley is still the best.
No, GPPs with the ownerships and all that included. Would you take Todd Gurley number 1?
Okay, so I would go probably James Conner 1 for sure.
Yeah.
I would want to be the most leveraged on Conner this week. And then probably number 2 is Kareem Hunt. I want to go right back to Kareem Hunt. But then Gurley would be 3. So just because I know Gurley is going to be so highly owned, I'd rather steer away and maybe take like the exact same ownership in tournaments this week.
Chris, you got him up higher than that?
I have no idea.
I'm
looking at NBA right now. All right.
So I personally have Gurley as the 4th on that list of those 5, and only Joe Mixon's behind him, price included in GPPs. I have Saquon ahead of him. I think James Conner's actually going to be just as chalky as Todd Gurley. I think ownership when it comes out, I think they're both going to be around 30%. Conner might actually, just because his price is so cheap, he might come in even higher owned. I don't know. I've heard a lot of people talking up James Conner. I really like him, but Kareem Hunt's my guy. I have him as my number 1 play.
Dude, you remember Kareem Hunt's stretch last year? Like, he was just the man. We're in a Kareem Hunt stretch right now. We're in a Kareem Hunt stretch.
And everybody counted him out.
Yeah.
This is just a dream matchup too. This is just it's Denver at home. This is the spot for Kareem Hunt. He's my number one guy, price included. Love Kareem Hunt this week.
All right, here's a question for whoever wants to take this. But like Kareem Hunt was not involved in the passing game for whatever reason the first 5 weeks. Last 2 weeks he's had targets of.
I'll take this.
Okay, and it was against New England and it was against Cincinnati. Was that mainly Andy Reid going up against the Patriots linebackers and the Bengals slow linebackers, or do you think like this is more of a like thing that's going to happen in the future?
So I've talked about this the last 2 weeks. One with the Patriots last week and Tyreek Cohen. I told you it was a smash spot because the linebacking core for the Patriots couldn't guard anyone, because Kareem Hunt and Andy Reid did what they did to the Patriots a couple weeks ago. And really, they should have had a lot more than that. There was a pass interference where Kareem Hunt was wide open on like a 50-yard touchdown pass. But it was definitely Andy Reid taking advantage of the matchup. Good coaches like Bill Belichick, like Andy Reid, they actually take advantage of the weakness of the team. What is the weakness of the Denver Broncos? It is their run defense, running right through them. You have to run right at those really talented pass rushers. Just like last week, Khalil Mack, the Bears, I was so high on Sony Michel last week. He came out, and I don't know if you guys watched like the first couple minutes of that game, but it looked like he was going to have a monster day. They were just running it right at that right side, like right at those linebackers. And then
it's the best way to take the pass rush away.
Exactly. And then unfortunately he gets hurt. But it's the way to do it. And if you're Andy Reid and the Chiefs, you got to be looking at it going, I don't know how involved he'll be in the passing game. I don't know if he'll be as involved as the last 2 weeks. But I think he's going to be more involved in the running game this week. I think Andy's going to make sure of that.
He already had 175 total yards and a touchdown back in week 4 against them.
Right.
And basically they did all they could to kind of shut down Tyreek Hill and try to like bend, don't break, but like not let him get behind him. And I mean, it's pick your poison with this team. I think they have to do the same thing again. And Kareem Hunt is on a mission right now. This guy has looked awesome ever since that New England game, and everyone counted him out. And I don't see him stopping here as when they're a heavy home favorite too.
Yeah, and like I don't love like the wide receiver situation so much in either one of these games, but like I do love Phil Lindsay's situation.
Yeah, I was gonna.
You do have a questionable Royce Freeman, who I believe didn't practice today, if I got that right. But yeah, they are so the Broncos versus the KC D line would have the second ranked adjusted line yards for this week. So it's a spot where Lindsay's involved in both the run and the pass. So I mean, game flow independent. So I like this spot for even Lindsay if you want to bring it back. I think he's involved in the pass game so much that I don't mind having 2 running backs there.
Oh, that's the beauty of this one, is that Lindsay is involved in the passing game, and he's going to have to be the first, second, third down guy, or potentially even, they're going to use Booker a lot in this game too, but they should be behind in game scripts. So it just sets up to get a lot of usage. I think he's a great play. I think he's like that play we're all waiting on.
Being a parent can be really challenging. Child and Family Resource Network focuses on connecting pregnant parents and those with kids under the age of 5 with free support services to help them on their parenting journey. Everyone deserves someone they can turn to for help with parenting. Visit childandfamilyresourcenetwork.org today.
What about that Demaryius Thomas price, $4,900? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I noticed when I was looking at the player pool.
So they're going to trade him. There's talk about trading him.
Mm-hmm.
And Courtland Sutton being the guy. So, like, is this like his final, like, hurrah? Or do they, like, phase him out and this is like Courtland Sutton week? But, like, he has a bit – like, I think the bad matchup is for Emmanuel Sanders because Kendall Fuller's actually been doing pretty well, and he held him down back in week 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think Demaryius Thomas is probably – if I had to take a receiver from this game, it'd probably be him. I don't think I'm going to, but his price is tough to. It's 4,900. I mean,
it's worth it.
Yeah, in a high scoring, it could be a high scoring game. But I'm with you on Philip Lindsay too. Love him.
Travis Kelce.
He's going to be popular. I think. We already mentioned a few 5K tight ends.
We didn't even talk about Njoku.
Yeah, and like going up to 6,800, I think makes a lot of sense in Kelce. So until they price Kelce around 7,500 or anything higher than that, like he's going to get the most owned with how crazy the tight end situation has been this year. So no like really great punts out there. I don't feel like. I mean, CJ Uzoma's maybe the cheapest I'd go at tight end.
OJ Howard.
And OJ Howard's a beast. CJ Uzoma has the best matchup.
Yeah.
Who hasn't gotten much usage, did pull a TD out of his out of his ass at the late in the game the other night to just kind of save value. You wish this guy would get more usage, but this should be a good week for him. There's so many good plays. That's a good segue to this next game. There are so many good plays in this Bucs-Bengals game.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like set up beautifully for each team, like the passing their deficiency in the defense of the passing game for the Bucs for the Bengals. So, I mean, you gotta love guys like AJ Green, obviously, and Boyd has an awesome matchup this week, so this should suit his style pretty well. And John Ross is out again, so this should set up. It should be a pretty concentrated attack. We still can get behind Mixon or not. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that. But then also, I mean, Jameis should have a field day against this kind of soft zone Bengals D.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Tyler Boyd at 6,700 it seems expensive, but he does get a great matchup in the slot versus MJ Stewart. So I don't know exactly ownership-wise who I'd want more between Tyler Boyd and AJ Green. It's probably going to matter just based upon how much money I have left in,
It should be AJ Green.
Yeah, I mean AJ's gonna break a slate soon, right? Like this is probably the week. And you guys like Djax at all in this one?
I'm still on team Chris Godwin, man. Godwin's been out snapping him. He's a cheaper price. He's going to be higher owned because of those two things. But yeah, they had 95 snaps against the Browns. He had 66 snaps. I'm not seeing routes run right now, but yeah, I mean, he's just getting more work than Deshaun. Deshaun had 43 snaps. So
what worries me too is Jameis and him they can't connect on a deep ball. I mean, I've watched 4 or 5 times in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Jameis just throw him wide open in the end zone.
That goes into last year too.
Yeah. It's just and I love Djax. I think, right now he's still better as a receiver. He's still the best deep threat on that team. He still gets open deep down the field like no one else on that team does.
Djax is all team Fitzpatrick. He wants Fitzpatrick throwing out rock.
Yep.
So
that's the problem. So OJ Howard's the guy.
No. Djax is the guy. Okay.
Talk me into him. I love Djax, but
he's going to see a lot of Dre Kirkpatrick, right? Who had nowhere near the speed of Djax, and he's allowing 17 yards per catch. Has already allowed 3 receiving touchdowns on the season. This is per Mike Taglia or whatever, Fantasy Pros. Yeah. So 2 of the touchdowns he's allowed have been on go routes, which is the route Jackson has been targeted the most this year. So, yes, the snaps are concerning, but this is like a great matchup for him. And I think people are going to fall into that snap narrative and say, oh, we can't play him, and they're going to fall back in favor of Godwin. And I like Godwin, but like you're playing with fire with Godwin as well. Like this could be the deep connect game for Deshaun Jackson.
I just feel like Godwin is a younger Deshaun Jackson, a little bit taller than Deshaun Jackson. So getting more snaps than Deshaun Jackson. So it's like, why? I don't feel like there's enough for me to play Deshaun Jackson. like John said, they don't have Winston and Djax don't have a connection. So for me, I'm just not.
They're going to have a connection this week.
That's the issue. I'm all in favor for the matchup. I just have the issue of them connecting. I want to play.
He's going to burn them, and he's going to hit them. This is the week.
Chris is dead right too with Drake Kirkpatrick being really slow too. So and so I feel like whoever that other wide receiver is, because it's when Godwin's out, Deshaun Jackson's in, and then they basically are. I mean,
you're looking at last week for the snap counts, but like you can go game by game here. I mean, Godwin has not been getting a ton of snaps.
Yeah.
Last week, we see a trend, but that's 1 week. It could be totally game plan, dependent on the team facing. And this when everyone, you zig when everybody zags.
I watched that game quite a bit just because I had decent exposure against the Browns there. And I mean, I didn't see Deshaun Jackson a lot at all in the fourth or the overtime. So I don't know what happened.
He got a rushing TD.
Right.
That was at the very beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. But like in the fourth
quarter,
he
also got thrown on like 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. There was just a lot of plays where I didn't see any Deshaun, and I was just like very, very curious about why that was. It just seemed like Godwin was getting a lot of the closing time work.
Well, I mean, Godwin should, and it shouldn't be. Humphries shouldn't be playing.
Right.
But Humphries has been like such a high snap count in the slot. So
the problem is Jameis loves Humphries. He must, because Humphries barely played when Fitzpatrick was in there, and then all of a sudden.
How many fantasy points does a snap count get you?
Yeah, but we also did say that Winston and Cameron Brate had like this awesome connection, and now Cameron Brate is just not playing whatsoever, and it's all over.
I loved Cameron Brate when I liked it even more when O.J. Howard came back against the Falcons. Was it that game? And he started off the game with a touchdown. I'm like, yes, this is my day. I was like, I'm so smart. I knew they were going to use Howard as a decoy, and he was going to block. And then
and O.J. Howard gets a touchdown.
Yeah, then it was all O.J. Howard from after that first drive.
So funny.
Anyways, so all right.
We didn't get to talking about Joe Mixon.
Oh yeah, when is this dude going to have a?
Listen, he's not involved in the pass game. I don't like him.
I'm telling you right, John Ross. He's going to be involved a little bit more, and they're going to run the ball. They're going to be successful running the ball. Joe Mixon, this is not a terrible spot. People are going to be off of him because of last week's game. This is where you come back. He's going to be low owned. This is the ownership, the leverage play right here. You can do it. He's right around the same price as Connor and Hunt. This is a GPP play right here, people, but it's in one of the highest scoring games on the slate. It makes sense. They have targeted him before in the passing game. I see no reason why he won't be a part of it.
It's just coaching would be the only reason.
Oh, God.
It's whether they use him correctly or not. But, like, he's got the skill set, and the matchup is certainly ripe. They've given up over 100 yards, receiving yards to both Kamara and Tariq Cohen. So this should be a good game for him. It's just the thing is that there's AJ Green should have a field day, and Boyd has such a good matchup. It's like I feel like he's just gonna like, and then Uzoma has a good matchup. It's like
he's gonna be lost, Chris. You're gonna get him at like 5% owned.
I'm there. I'll be there. I will have some, no doubt.
I mean, how do you have a guy?
I play this guy every week. I love him. I play him in cash. Like
his games he's played, he's had 7 targets, then 1, 4 targets, then 7, 5 targets in the passing game. I mean, so some games he's really involved, and some games he's not involved.
And sometimes he starts off, he looks so damn good, and then they just like stop, and then they like run him. They run him up the tackles, and it's like, what are they doing? And I don't know, but I'll be there. I'll have some with you.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be under on Mixon. It's one of those things where I need to see it kind of come together.
That's it. I'm all in on Djax and Mixon. F you, Killer B.
Yeah. I'm going to play Djax now just because of this.
This is it. You fired me. Pissed off.
You need to hear my takes before you plant your flag the other
Go
way.
ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah, so that's so James Conner. I love James Conner this week. Like John said, I think he's going to be pretty chalky. But the thing is how chalky is he going to be? Because like you can't really. It's going to be very tough to pay up for multiple running backs here. But I guess he's at a price point, 7,500, where you don't have to sacrifice too much if you have both him and Gurley. You're just going to have to work, you're going to have to work it with like 4K wide receivers. So that's a spot where, like the first game that we mentioned with the Oakland Indianapolis game, you're going to have to get a lot of exposure there, probably when you buy like a James Conner or a Gurley. So it's just, I really like this slate. Like, I feel like there's lots of different ways to go. So, this is the first week that I feel really good about like the options available for us. Like, I feel like the last 3 or 4 weeks, there was always kind of like that one game on an island, super chalky. You had to stack it multiple ways. This one, I feel very good about going lots of different routes here.
Yeah, there's one game we really didn't get to discuss, but I think it's very sneaky, and I don't think anyone's going to be on it. And it's the Seattle-Detroit game. In Detroit, Matthew Stafford, he's 5,600 on DraftKings. All of his weapons are 6K or below. You got Golden Tate, Doug Baldwin. These guys are all they're cheap. Kenny Galladay is one of my favorite plays. I love Kenny Galladay. I just think this matchup, this Seahawks defense, I'm not afraid of. Detroit's defense isn't that great, but they did get Snacks Harrison, so the Seahawks are going to have a tough time running that football.
They're still going to do it. They're going to try. They're going to try.
I will say this, John. Like, I don't bet like a lot of sports, like putting down a lot of sports bets. But when I saw this line, I bet the under right away. Just it like kind of hit right away where I have two slow teams, also two teams that kind of like to run the ball. I bet the under right away. So
they're not going to be able to.
the one nice thing is obviously they're in a dome. So yeah. And Snacks, I don't know how much Snacks will play, but he's obviously the run stuffer in the middle.
If he plays the first 2 downs, I'd be happy. He probably will. He's back.
Here's my issue with this game is that we've got one team that loves to run the ball, Seattle. We have another team that has an emerging running game with Kerryon Johnson and has an array of weapons that we don't know who.
Detroit's been running the ball a lot.
That's what I'm saying. And so we've got the play counts should be down in this game. Then then you still got to figure out Marvin Jones, Galladay, or Tate.
Yeah. And they're both very slow teams. They're like 2 of the slower teams in the NFL.
And so yes, I think like Galladay, like someone's going to do well in this game. I just don't know how to like really jam them all.
But Detroit's been playing against really soft run defenses the last couple of weeks. I don't know if they're gonna just always run the ball no matter what. Like the Seahawks will. You're right. The Seahawks are gonna try and run the ball no matter what. The Detroit Lions, they played Miami, worst run defense in the league. Green Bay, not a great run defense. Dallas without Sean Lee, they took advantage. New England, they just ran all over. But you saw a bunch of teams have done that before too. So it's just, to me, it's like, if I think Matt Patricia is a good coach, I think he's going to attack the weaknesses of the teams. I think you can attack the Seahawks through the air. And I think Matthew Stafford is going to be super low owned at a really cheap price, and his weapons are all really low owned. And where the targets are going to.
I do like Stafford.
There's 3 guys that get most of the targets. And I'm not going to play much Marvin Jones. I think Galladay and Tate are the best. You got the nice Tate.
I like Marvin.
Yeah. Oh, you like Marvin. Marvin.
But I can't back it up yet on the show. I'm not ready for that. So
we got to give it up to the Seattle Seahawks defense. This was a defense that we thought we could attack with like all the injuries that they had, all the different free agents that they've lost. I mean, they're not obviously the Legion of Boom anymore, but I mean, this team is not a team to target. So, I don't know. There's not much that I love in this. I don't mind a Chris Carson at 4,300. We saw what he did in previous weeks. I believe they're coming off a bye. Is that correct? Did they play last week? I feel like they came off a bye this past week. So, it's a spot where they're still going to be splitting between Carson and Mike Davis. But, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I feel better getting some Kerryon Johnson exposure. But outside of that, like, I don't love this spot just because I don't project it for a lot of plays.
Kerryon's not running for 200 yards. He cannot get it done in the red zone. Like, he's not.
Well, they don't give him the red zone. They don't give him.
He had 3 or 4 carries within the 5-yard line. He couldn't get it in 3 or 4 times last week. People kept saying he didn't get any red zone carries. He had 3 or 4 times he had it in the 5 or less yard line, and he couldn't punch it in.
I think you had
what's that, producer? Oh, we got to go. Okay. Yeah, so we're running.
By the way, I just want
time here. We're gonna wrap this up. We got 2 minutes left in the Lakers game.
Oh, come on, let's go.
But how do we want to end this? We want to end this show on what? Are we? You guys want to?
Yeah, we'll do a long shot player, and then a most leveraged player. So a player that we want to have the most leveraged in comparison to the field. So I'll start it off. Let's see. Let's see. My most leveraged player, I'll just say is going to be Jalen Richard at 4,200.
Okay. Good luck.
Let's go to John. John, who do you want to be like most owned in comparison to the field? Like, is there one guy?
Kareem Hunt.
I like that. I'm going to say David Johnson.
A guy you didn't even talk about this whole show.
Yep, and I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just going to say.
He doesn't even want to give it to the
producer. We got to go. I'm sorry.
What's a long
it's a tough
shot?
Run defense. It's a new coach. He was with Arians the whole time. He's already made comments about how he's good. They're going to get him in space, and this is why he was fired, was because of what they've been doing with David Johnson. Like, this is going to be the David Johnson erupt game. They're going to find a way to get him in space. They've had a long week because they played, the Thursday night game, so they've had a little extra time. I know it's a tough rushing defense in general, the 49ers, but I just think that they're going to – I think it's time.
You got to bet on the coaches. You just got to bet.
Yeah, and they're going to – and David, I'm going to bet on David Johnson. This guy's ready to erupt. And he's cheap, and he's going to be overlooked again, and this is the time.
Okay, I'll go quick. I won't even give you too much of a reason, but my long shot will be Christian Kirk against the 49ers.
Yeah.
I didn't even talk to him too much, but it's just a spot where he's now got all the snaps going. No Larry Fitzgerald really at all.
No, they're gonna roll Larry now this week.
Yeah. Well, I've heard they're trying to trade him, so we'll see what happens there. But that would be my long shot play is Christian Kirk.
All right. Well,
my long shot play is Adrian Peterson. I'm going to say one thing. And
what's that, producer? We got to go.
No snacks. No snacks.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So the Giants are just going to fall dead, is what you're saying.
Dead.
Except for they are dead. Whatever.
Besides Saquon, they're literally dead.
All right, Chris, you got a long shot for us, or are we out?
Seth Roberts, baby.
Oh, my God.
That's about as long as you could possibly get.
Hey, at least you brought it up during the show, so that's good.
I don't know if you saw Lance Stevenson dancing at that timeout, but it was just hilarious. But just rewind your TV when you get off this. It's hilarious.
All right. That's a wrap. This is the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast, and we will catch you again next week. Thanks a lot.